So if you own a window tint shop, there are two things that I want you to stop doing today. Never, ever, ever do these two things after you watch this video. And by the way, I can say this after helping over hundreds of different tint, PPF, ceramic coating businesses, making them more revenue, all of that good stuff. But the two things that I want you to immediately remove from your process just to book more jobs is, first of all, sending a proposal. I want you to never send a proposal to someone hoping that, oh, they're gonna see it and accept it. And secondly, taking deposits over the phone. I want you to start taking deposits while they are on the phone. Now, as far as sending proposals, what I see with a lot of tint shops when they come on with us, they have these bad habits of, first of all, it can be as bad as not even calling the lead, just going to their TintWiz, which is a great CRM, by the way, but they go to their TintWiz, they just create this proposal that looks really pretty, looks really nice, and what they do is they just send that to the lead, and they hope and pray that the lead will see the price, like the price, and then they will accept it. Now, this is such bad practice because at that point, like, just think about this for a second. If you want window tint and you get a proposal from two different shops, so you've reached out to two different shops, none of them call you, you just get proposals like something on paper or something on your email with like, this is what it includes, this is what it includes, this is the price. What is the only thing that you will be comparing those two proposals based off? Now, keep in mind, let's say both the shops have good reviews, decent reviews, they're decently reviewed shops on Google, they both look similar. What's the only thing that you would be comparing on those proposals? It's pretty simple. The only thing that you would consider based on is whatever proposal is cheaper, you would go with that one. That is the issue with sending proposals. People are just comparing you based on price. When people compare you based on price and you're literally like a commodity just like everybody else, you cannot sell more. You will find it very hard to get people to pay your expensive packages and also very hard to grow your shop. So stop sending proposals because the only thing people will do is just compare on price. Now, what do you do instead? Well, first of all, you have to call the lead. Get it out of your head that you can have a conversation via email, via text. It's not gonna work. Now, yes, you might say, oh, a lot of the leads, they don't like being called, they don't like being texted. How do you know that? You only know that because you've seen a few leads of yours who said, don't call me, just text me, which is fine. There's always leads like that. And you can just say, hey, yeah, we have tons of different options. It really depends, because it does depend, right? You might not know how to quote them properly on text, or you might not even have the time to text like 10, 15 different messages. So you say, hey, it's a little easier if I give you a quick 2-minute call. Like, do you have some time in like a few minutes? Something like that. But a mistake a lot of tint shop owners think is that just because they've seen that a few times where people say, hey, don't call me, don't just text me, they project that belief onto every other lead that they have, and they think no one likes a phone call. I love phone calls. I hate when people text me. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people, maybe you watching, you like when someone calls you, explains the different options. That's the first mindset shift that you have to have. You can't project your beliefs on a few leads that say, hey, just text me, onto every single lead that you have. So first of all, you have to call them. Now, when you call them, you have to have a consistent conversation that you can follow across every single call. Because if you don't have like consistent questions to ask every single time, you're just winging it every single time. And it's not a lot better when you just call them and you just explain the price, because, I mean, if that's the case, if you were just gonna tell them the price anyway on the call, might as well text them, right? But we wanna close more jobs, and we don't only wanna close the jobs that would have closed anyway if we sent the price of the proposal. We wanna close the people who would not have closed given that they saw the price or saw the proposal. That is why I say, that is why everyone says call your leads. It's because think about it like this. There's like maybe 20% of people, depending on your market, it could be 10, 20, 30% of people that will buy no matter what. So no matter what the price is, no matter if you text them, they will buy regardless. And you're already closing that percentage of your leads. But this is not about closing that percentage of your leads. This is about closing the rest, the 60, 70%. Now, the reason it's not the other like 80% or whatever it is because there's always 10 to 20% of your leads, they will never buy. No matter what you say, they're never gonna buy, right? But the middle, you can call it 40%, 50%, 60%, they will buy if you can convince them to buy with you, right? There's always that percentage of the market that if you are able to hop on a call, explain their concerns, explain why it's a little more expensive than other people, explain what happens when you go for a cheaper option, these people will buy because people are logical, right? If they logically see that, hey, someone charging $199 or $250 or whatever it is, like the cheaper person, like they're probably sacrificing in some aspect that's allowing them to charge that low, right? And that's why you call your leads and explain this. So firstly, call your leads. Secondly, follow a proven script or a process or a bunch of questions that you say on that call. Now third, when it comes time to actually book, you have to take a deposit with them over the phone. Do not just end the call by sending them a proposal, because the leads that say, oh yeah, this sounds great, just send me over a proposal, like how many of those actually end up going with you? If you actually think back, there's a very, very small chance that someone, once you send them a proposal and they're off the call, they will actually end up going with you. Most of the times they're just saying that to be nice, or it's just like an excuse to get off the call. So you need to stop buying that excuse. So stop sending that proposal when they ask for it. Now there's ways to do that, I can tell you how. And secondly, you need to ask or take a deposit over the phone if they want to book. Even if they say they want to book and you send them over the deposit link, there are still chances that they don't book, because you don't know what happens after the call. Maybe they see ads of other tint shops. Maybe they see like a way cheaper deal or whatever it is. You cannot control that. What you can control is if they pay you over the phone. And taking a $50 deposit for window tint over the phone is very, very simple. All you have to do is say something like, in order to confirm the appointment, we take a $50 deposit. Do you want me to text you that link, or do you want me to email it to you? Now, this is assuming, by the way, that they're sold, right? And this is a very important thing, because a lot of times you'll see customers who are like, oh yeah, sounds great. They even say yes to taking a deposit, and they're like, oh, send me the link, I'll pay it. But then they just ghost you and they never pay. The reason that happens is because they are just being nice, right? They don't want to say the actual objection of the price is too much or whatever other objection it is. Maybe they're going to shop around. They don't actually want to say that because they just want to be nice over the phone. And they say send it over and they never pay. Now, if you just buy into what they're saying and send it over after the call, chances are they won't actually pay and you won't actually get the job. So in order to fix this, it's very, very simple. All you need to do is just ask them over the phone, hey, by the way, $50 deposit, would you like me to text you or email you the link? Now that's the first question. To this, they can say, oh yeah, just text it to me after the call, I'll pay. And you can say something like, oh yeah, it takes like 15 to 20 seconds. I'll just stay with you on call while you go through it in case there's anything weird on your end or if anything comes up, right? And just stay silent. Now, after you send this link, there's two scenarios. Either they do it, no questions asked, and they say, hey, it's done, you just check on your end and it's all good. Or there's still some hesitation, right? And the hesitation can be in the form of like, they're like, oh yeah, I'll just do it after this, or I'll do it after that. Or it can be something like you hear the sound in their voice that they're not 100% certain and they're not gonna do it. We're human beings, right? We're not dumb. We can tell when someone is just a bit hesitant on doing this. And over here, what you wanna do is put them at complete ease and say, hey, do you mind if I just ask you something? I guess, where are you actually at with doing this? And I only ask this because sometimes I've seen people, they say they want to do it and they say send over the link when they actually don't want to do it, and they could have just told me no and just, saved a bunch of time. So I guess for you, and it can be a no, by the way, it's not an issue, like where are you actually at with doing this? And over here, you'll be surprised, they'll open up and say, oh, it's just expensive, this and that. And that's the actual concern which you can address. Or they might say something like, oh, I'm actually 100% going to do this. I'm just driving right now. I'll just do it when I park. Now that's fine. Like if they say that, then it's totally fine. At least you have got what I call a tie-in, and they've admitted that they actually want to do this. And then at that point, like you have no choice but to just wait for the deposit. But the main point is to get that hesitation out, which it will. Because if you say stuff like, oh yeah, by the way, if you don't want to do it, it's not an issue. You can just tell me. If you get them at ease, then they will actually open up and tell you the concern. And most likely it's going to be too expensive or they want to shop around. Now there's ways to handle that, but that's for another video. If you want me to film stuff like that, I can. But I see this so many times with our clients where they come in with bad practices of just sending proposals, waiting for clients to accept it, or they just send the deposit links, or sometimes they don't even ask for deposits and the clients will say yes, but obviously they won't show up. So that's the reason I'm making this video. I want you to stop doing these habits, and you will notice you will close a lot more jobs. Now, if you're not comfortable on calls saying this stuff and you're hesitant and you're scared and you don't want to be salesy or whatever the case is, I used to be the same exact way, but there's ways to say it without sounding like a salesperson or without pressuring. And just one example of that is saying stuff like, hey, by the way, if it's a no, it's not an issue. And I have a lot more lines like this, by the way, that I sprinkle out throughout the call that I have in my script that just make sure there's no pressure and they can actually say what they're experiencing. And that makes them not view us as the same exact salesperson that they've been speaking to calling the other tint shops. So if you want me to send those lines, just comment below the word lines or reach out to me on Instagram and I'll send it. But if you want me to make other videos like this, just comment below and I will make them. Anyways, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe. I'll see you guys later.